Hi again. Well, I promised I was going to finish this story about Grandma Dorothy Muriel, and I had some encouragement from someone. So even though I was a little embarrassed about my video, I'm going to keep going. Ivana. Anyways, so yeah, I finally did remember the name of the aunt of my grandma's, who we believe was her actual mother. It was Kathleen. So Kit, Aunt Kit, is what Grandma called her. So Uncle Barry, of course, just passed away in November, and I spent in the last couple of months. I spent a lot of time with him, and he was surprised to hear all about this mystery with the mother switch. But he did remember. He did recall that Aunt Kit was a regular name. Uncle Barry was the oldest of the three boys. My dad and his brothers, and he has a stellar memory, so I trust him that he would know. And so he did confirm that Aunt Kit was a regular name. So, and he thought, oh, and his reaction was, yeah, that makes a lot of sense that my mom was really sad about something. You know, she was in her head a lot. There's sort of the marriage, her and Ernie, the marriage was troubled. I won't comment on that right here, but definitely Dorothy was a person who was suffering a lot. She ended up at Eden Care Home in Chilliwack, is where she spent her last days on Charles Street in Chilliwack. You can still go to it. It's run by Fraser Health. I stopped by there, and across the street is the first house I lived in on Charles Street when I was first born. But anyways, okay, so I want to read you. I have all these letters. I'm going to show you. I'm going to switch the camera around. So these are, oops, can that show? Where am I? No, that's not right. Oh, okay. These are photocopies of a big stack of, these are all letters from Kathleen to Carrie and Grace. I'm going to read just one short one because this is so awesome. They're just so full of interesting history. Of course, remember again the fact that there's some darkness to it because she's writing from this residential school where she's a teacher. Anyways, so Kathleen Martin is writing to her mother, and her return address says, well, maybe I'll just flip this around and read it. She says, I don't know if you guys can read that. Dear Mama, no letter this week and very little to write about. We just had our mail today, and I had a postcard from Grace from Reno, Nevada. I do wish it had been a letter. It's the first line I've had from her, and it made me quite lonesome for more. It is just 60 below today, and we haven't been out much. I bought a pair of moccasins as I couldn't wait any longer for the shoes. It is so cold on the feet. But of course, I shall need both, one shoes for the house. Hope you will like the fur-lined mocks I've sent you. I have sent some to each of the kiddies, but Marjorie, and I have no address to send hers, so have to send them later on. Okay, I'm just going to put in a little editor's note here. So remember, Marjorie is Grace's for sure kid. And Kathleen here is saying she doesn't have an address for Marjorie. Okay, so, but Dorothy is reliably at her grandma Carrie's house. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm confusing it. It's so hard to tell this information to you guys, but it's so exciting. Anyways, I was over at Pelly 2 days ago, again this week, and had planned to go to Minto to visit Mrs. McMartin for a week, leaving this morning, but a bunch of Indians came in on Thursday, so I've had to get busy again. Stallworthy moved away on Monday, and we missed him greatly. I had a letter from Mr. Hawksley, the superintendent of Indian Affairs, whom I met on the boat coming down, and he told me a number of nice things about Stall, and then ended up with, of course, I'm not recommending him matrimonially. Mr. Hawksley is very humorous. I owe Florence a letter, but there's nothing to write about, so I will postpone the agony until something happens. Everyone is making preparations for Christmas here. Is this boring? I feel like blah, blah, blah. And then she finishes it, from Kathleen, love, hugs, and kisses for Dodie. So XXXXX. Dodie is Grandma Dorothy. This is 1916, so Dodie is 3 years old. And then she writes a little letter to Dodie, letter from Kathleen Martin to her niece, Dodie. Niece, and I put the air quotes are mine because probably her daughter. My dearest Dodie, Auntie was so glad to get your 2 lovely letters, and we'll get some moccasins for the big Teddy and Dolly as soon as she can. Hope you liked Cousin Hilda's wedding cake. Auntie had a good laugh about that. You can have Auntie's piece of chicken every time. Be a good little baby girl so that the birdies can tell me nice little stories about you. Heaps of loves, hugs, and kisses to my dear baby girl, Auntie Kit, Lonesome Auntie, OOOXXX. So here's more of my sort of research editor's notes, bringing this together for you guys. It's like, first of all, the warmth of this writing makes me so happy for Grandma because she was just so depressed. My mom tells me that when she would hang out with Nanny, like Blanche Mantic, and Mom and us little kids, she would be happy for a little while. But she was so depressed, and this warmth and me picturing her being this little girl who's getting moccasins and has this Teddy and Dolly and making jokes about who's wanting the chicken and stuff. It makes me so happy to think of her. And she was such a joyful and happy and beautiful little girl. Here, I have a picture of her too, from the pictures. And she was, in her 20s, she worked. I have census documents that show that she worked as, she was a dancer in San Francisco. And of course, she was in this vaudeville act, I think it was called Weston Fields. I'll bring out some of these pictures for you guys. It's all right here. Okay, so here's a good one. This is Dodie as a young woman with her. Isn't she lovely? Let me see if I can get that better. Isn't that a beautiful face? And then her dad and mom, one of the vaudeville act photos. Well, so this is Grace. These are the ones in Reno, Nevada, going all around. I visited one of their houses in Everett, Washington. I visited one of their houses. Well, it was Grace's brother's house in Seattle. Here's another picture of Grandma Dorothy. Lovely. Oh, I painted this one. I have a beautiful watercolor I did of that one. Anyways, I have more, but who knows where it all is. So Grandma Dorothy was just bright and funny as a young woman, and I identify with her a lot, being bright and funny. And my dad would tell stories about how she used to just laugh her head off watching I Love Lucy, and she used to love to make up dances and sing and dance. I wish I had this picture handy with her and her sister or cousin Marjorie. Oh, they're somewhere. I'll show you another time. Anyways, and what was I saying? So yeah, if anyone ever wants to do sort of historical travel, I have a few addresses for townhouses in San Francisco, so that's fun. The Everett place is really cute. It's on Rockefeller Avenue, and it's kind of like it was all kept in the original house form, and sort of redone. Really nice, like proud renovation. So that's nice to see. It's not run down. And the same with the one on in Seattle's on Capitol Hill. And what's interesting about both the Everett house and the Seattle house is that they're in parts of town that actually feel a lot like San Francisco. It's weird. I never thought of Everett being so similar to San Francisco, but I can see how this young family, which was Casper Vandenberg and Grace, would have picked, these are great grandparents I'm talking about now, would have picked these houses in Everett that looked like that coming from San Francisco. So anyways, Dorothy did have dual citizenship, Grandma Dorothy. She was a naturalized U.S. citizen, but born in Canada. And she grew up at high school. San Francisco Polytechnic was her high school. And there's all these, probably a lot of you guys already know this. There's a lot of playbills, posters from her dad's variety show in the, looks like 1920s and 30s. And so they spent in the last decades after Dorothy was up in North Vancouver with her grandma, Carrie, Toby, like Caspar Vandenberg had an alias, Toby West, and their family was West in Fields, the West family, and their San Francisco shows. Anyways, so the Vandenbergs ended up operating a lodging house in Los Gatos that was Toby's place, and that does appear in the history books. Other than that, they don't really appear in the history books. But they occupied a corner at 210 East Main Street in Los Gatos, California. I did visit there too, it so happens. And another visit on my list in this particular line of family would be in Ireland, because I found the places they are in Ireland, the family, and they're still there. And I know the whole story about that, but I got to reread it because that was something I found out recently. But they were part of the English people that came in after I can't remember why the English sort of displaced and kind of colonized the Irish. And it's a bit evil. Like if you watch that Netflix show, The Highlander or something like that, you really will identify that the English were kind of like the bad guys. And that was actually who the Martins were part of that group in like I want to say 1600s. But anyways, it was finally after the potato famine that they left, I think Robert Martin, they left Ireland and sailed to and settled in Canada. And that's when Grace's and Kathleen's and Florence's, that's when their, I think, grandparents came over. Maybe parents and grandparents. And then, but there was alcoholism, tremendous alcoholism, abandonment by this alcoholic father, Robert Martin, I think. Grace and Florence is their dad. And Carrie ended up, like I told you guys, dying at Riverview Hospital and spent a lot of time in the mental hospital. And then, of course, Dorothy did too. So I'm really interested to know genetically what was going on there mental health wise. Like there was the alcoholism and abuse and that sort of stuff, and sort of abandonment and displacement related to, all these downturns like the potato famine, starvation and whatnot. But I do at this time believe that there is a genetic mental health weakness. There's also this Parkinson's, really aggressive Parkinson's that Uncle Toby got. It turns out it was in the family a few generations too. So unfortunately, we got to watch for that as well. Anyways, this is a 12-minute video. I love my Grandma Dorothy. Happy birthday, Grandma Dorothy. You're one of my ancestors that I'm fighting for you. I'm trying to empower myself to continue the good fight that you fought for your soul and your happiness, and for women's freedom, emancipation that you had struggled with so much, and for your beautiful soul of singing and dancing and performing and just shining your light, and you're not forgotten. And yeah, I don't know how to best share your message. I'm putting pressure on myself to type out all these to transcribe all these letters, and I don't know who would really read it and what form I would share those in. So for now, I'm just telling your story today.